everybody. Welcome to the 8th Annual Southampton Town EMS Advisory Committee Awards Dinner, 8th year in a row. So I got roped into this 8 years as, I don't know, but yes. So thank you for everybody who's came this evening for this wonderful night. We've got a wonderful night of weather, beautiful view out there on the water. So we'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance led by Assistant Chief Scott. Not supposed to trip into the leg. Just saying. You leave.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if everybody would please stay standing for a moment of silence for those overseas who have served and lost their lives. Have a seat. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Reverend John Fleischman to provide us with grace.
Let us pray. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe. We give you thanks for all your blessings, which are new every day. We especially thank you for your blessing upon those who serve in EMS in Southampton Town. And we ask that you would continue to watch over all of our members as they fulfill their calling in our communities. As Elijah restored breath into the young man, as Luke was a physician, and the Good Samaritan bound the wounds of the injured man, we understand that serving you in EMS is a high and holy calling. We ask you to bless the continued efforts as we seek to help the sick and injured in the very best way in our communities. We thank you for the achievements of those who will be recognized this evening. As they shine in their excellence, they also leave us all an example to follow as we strive to live up to the calling that you have given to us. We pray for all who are sick and ask your healing. We especially pray for those in the military at home and abroad, and that you would bring those overseas home soon. And now we ask that you would bless this feast of which we are about to partake, that in our celebration we might experience the unity that you give. All glory, honor, and praise are yours, Almighty Father, now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, John Fleischman, otherwise known as the Sinister Minister. All right, just a special shout out to a few special people. Thank you very much, Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance and Sag Harbor Volunteer Ambulance, for doing some extra legwork for the dinner tonight. And a thank you to the balance of the committee and the agencies for being here tonight, for making this a special evening for our award recipients. We'll move on to the guest introduction. So some very specific instructions here. As I call your name, you ready for this? Please stand up so everybody knows who you are. Everybody clear on that? Sometimes I know it gets a little confusing. Nobody likes to stand. Okay. All right, first, Town of Southampton Supervisor Jay Schneiderman. Suffolk County EMS, William Michael Masterton. And just because he's ever so special, Reverend John Fleischman again. Captain Larry Shurrock of the Southampton Town Police. Did he not stand? Captain. Don't make me stop the program for you to stand up. Stand. Captain.
He's got a gun. I wouldn't do that.
So do I. Stand. See? Yay! See? There's always one in the crowd. Dr. Lincoln Cox of Northfield Peconic Bay Hospital. Katrin Diana, Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. And Robert Ross, Stony Brook, Southampton, and Treasurer to the Southampton County EMS Advisory Committee. All right, so with that, originally this dinner started as an honor for Nancy Maxon of Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance. So at this time, I'd like to invite up from Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance, Treasurer Kim Weiss, who will present a little history about Nancy Maxon. Go, Jada.
After all these years, you think you get through this?
No. Better you than me.
Good evening, everybody. Nancy Maxon was not only my teacher, but my mentor, and she's the reason why I've been company treasurer of our organization for 20 years now. So, my friend Nancy, as volunteers of our great neighboring Corps, we sit here tonight to celebrate our achievements in dedicating our lives to others. We are also here to remember a remarkable woman who has shared half of her life to her community, members, and neighbors. A founding member of the Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance in 1983, she has shared many attributes: a full-time mother, wife, and also an EMT. District treasurer, president of our great organization, Nancy had spent many tireless hours in working to bring the Length of Service Reward program to our ambulance companies in the Southampton Township. Nancy, along with her husband Bob, worked on the pilot program which was approved by the state to equip our ambulances with AEDs, and as a result, Suffolk County is now equipped with automatic defibrillators. In addition, she had helped to create the required tax districts, the mechanism that finances local ambulance districts in Southampton Town. Nancy had always made sure that tax dollars were spent appropriately. She enjoyed the work she did, but never took the credit. These were only a few of her many contributions to our community. She had touched many lives and continues to do so tonight. In recognition of Nancy's dedication, generosity, and support, the Nancy Maxon Award of Excellence is presented to a volunteer who exemplifies the many roles we partake in helping others. Tonight, we remember our friend, mentor, neighbor, and her family. Thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to share her life and spirit with others. Congratulations to all our nominees, our award recipients, and volunteers. Also, thank you to Bob Maxon, the Southampton Town EMS Advisory Committee, Suffolk County EMS, our distinguished guests, and our EMS volunteers for all that you do. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been doing this for so many years. Has anybody known Nancy personally? Those of you guys that have known Nancy personally, when she passed, she left, she left a very, very, very large gap to fill in EMS. She's made significant contributions to the EMS system, to her own individual agency, to her community. So somebody to always kind of keep in the back of your mind. All right, so with that, moving on. So at this time, I'd like to bring up William Michael Masterton of Suffolk County EMS. So with that, we'll move on to the individual recipients from each of the agencies. So, because I never like to do this in any sort of alphabetical way, we'll pick to see who goes first. However, this year, I was talking a little bit to Stacy of Sag Harbor, and she was telling me that Ed Downs would like to do all the speeches for all the agencies. Is that correct? Ed? Is that correct? Or is Ed? No? Not correct? So, I'll have you pick the first.
So one or two?
One. Assistant Chief Thomas Nanos for the Southampton Volunteer Ambulance.
Congratulations.
Oh, no, not to me, no. Oops. Let me first say that it's my honor to present this individual with this award insofar as over the last few years he has honored me numerous times, so this is payback, and I'm very proud to do it. In the winter of his senior year in high school, And following the example of his father before him, this individual joined our organization, the Southampton Volunteer Ambulance Corps. By the following spring, that would be March of 2010, this individual had successfully completed the basic EMT course training for the first time, becoming an EMT-D for defibrillator. He has remained certified continuously since then. He was called away from our organization in 2010, however, to serve our country as a member of the United States Army. He served 2 tours of duty in the Middle East, where he was a combat medic and achieved the rank of sergeant. Upon coming off active duty in 2014, he returned to our organization and promptly and expediently achieved clearance as a driver. His motivation as a volunteer was clearly demonstrated once again at that time. In November of 2014, this nominee successfully ran for the office of First Assistant Chief. At this point, his natural and acquired leadership skills became overwhelmingly evident. He revitalized our agency with his energy, focus, and charisma. Under his leadership, our ranks grew rapidly, with numerous young and some not so young members joining, all eager to serve their community. Veteran members were inspired to renew their vigor and commitment to volunteer public service. The following November, and that would be 2015, this nominee was elected chief of our agency by a clear mandate. The membership sought and embraced his leadership. He introduced a new, higher standard of professionalism in our organization. Under his guidance, an initiative to replace dated equipment with modern tools of the trade was commenced. Our uniforming became standardized. Drills were made lively, realistic, and meaningful. The vitality he brought was virtually palpable. As a leader, this nominee brought battle-proven, literally, experience to bear on the emergent, sometimes dangerous scenes we faced. The universal consensus among members was that we felt safe when he was on scene. His leadership style provided members with a clear sense of expectation, and yet was genial. As a teacher, he openly and generously shared his extensive knowledge with everyone around him. He taught by example. Members were encouraged in a pleasant manner to improve themselves and thus simultaneously raise the bar for our entire organization. For this, we are indeed grateful. I might add that he just got off the reserves in late March of this year, so I'm proud to introduce Doc Locke, Kenneth R. Lockhart. This is for you. I'll give it to you later.
Step up here.
Mikey, step up.
Congratulations.
Hey.
I thought I
Come on,
was
Speedy
getting away.
Gonzalez.
You got something to walk in.
Thank you very much.
All right. Would you like the honor of the second selection?
Sure, blame me, Bob.
Exactly. All right, so with that, come on up. Chief Dan Berry, the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance.
Our Volunteer of the Year for 2017 joined our organization in September of 2016. Upon joining, he signed up for an EMT class immediately, excelled in his coursework, and became cleared by our department to run as an EMT in almost record time. In his first full year with us last year, he ran 159 calls, coming in as our 5th top responder, all while working full-time and attending college full-time. Additionally, he practically attends all of our standbys, and we do about 2 dozen a year. Our candidate takes it upon himself, without being asked, to handle multiple tasks within the department, from 800 checks to taking out the trash and everything in between. He also does all of this after having moved well outside of our district 6 months ago. However, it should be noted that he works within our district, which also means that he primarily does all of this after working a full day and prior to going to school at night. I should also mention that he is eager to become a CPR instructor in order to help us out with our community CPR program. Our candidate has always has a smile on his face and is always willing to lend a helping hand or pick up a tour for someone. We have never heard him say a bad thing about anyone or complain about anything. If there is a problem in need of a solution, he is always there trying to figure it out. Our nominee for the Nancy Maxon Award, while relatively new to EMS, embodies all that anyone could expect of an EMS volunteer, and then some. His selfless dedication to our Corps and to EMS as a whole really stands out. As the years progress, we fully expect him to get even more involved and to take on even more responsibility, because it appears to be in his nature to do so, all while maintaining a smile. This young man clearly loves EMS and loves being a volunteer. Our nominee, Chris Cardona.
Congratulations.
Here you go there.
Oh, I get it.
You get next victim.
Sag Harbor.
Sag Harbor. President? Sag Harbor? Sag Harbor? President Stacy McGowan.
Hello and welcome. This year, I nominated my Member of the Year for the Nancy Maxon and Ralph Oswald Award. My member has one of the it's one of the hardest things to do is to pick one member who is deserving of an award, because sometimes you have many. This year, there was a few members who really deserved it, but I could only choose one. This member joined the Corps in November of 2004. During the year in the Corps, has taken on many jobs, and after a short time, this member went on to take the EMT class, where it was the goal to be a very strong EMT. But being an EMT wasn't good enough. The idea of doing more for patients was key in the decision to spend hours and hours of time taking in on the CC class. After becoming a CC, they moved forward on to becoming a county instructor in 2006, where has taught many new EMTs. Starting out as just a PWI instructor, freely giving his time to assist with classes held in Sag Harbor, and continuing his own training to become a CLI and finally a CIC. Spending 7 months of countless hours each year preparing for lectures, hands-on training, and mounds of paperwork and slideshows, all while having a full-time job and a family. We enjoy the benefits of having a great instructor right in our district, and it's great to share this member with everyone on the East End. But it's not where it stops. Currently, this member is the Corps Training Officer, which helps us with our monthly training and non-Corps CME. He's our Exposure Control Officer, our Treasurer, our Crew Chief for night squads, and our CPR instructor. He has taken one of our first responders and has over 1,500 calls. But giving his time to our Corps and the county isn't where it stops either. This member also puts in hours and hours of time to help with the fire department with their CPR, the bloodborne pathogens, and first aid classes. This year, in addition to all their hours spent with students and our core duties, took on the responsibility of helping the East End start the EPCR program, spending many hours of online training to become an EPCR administrator for the Corps, and training us with the new program. It takes a very special person to devote the amount of time this member puts in and do it well. The leadership is an inspiration to many, and the level of commitment to us and the students is remarkable. Mark Poitras.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, well deserved, Mark.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Mark, before you sit, A little chop for you to do.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Let's see. Next one. It looks like East Quad to me.
East Quag. Captain Patricia Vanotsky, East Quag Fire Department.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Violetta. This member joined our department in 1997. She became an EMT initially, and within the next year, 1998, became a firefighter. For those of you who don't know, we're a combined department, firefighter and EMS. Since that time, she's maintained 21 years of continuous certification as an EMT, all while having a family and a husband also very involved in our department, like Chief. In addition to being an EMT and a firefighter, she's taken on many training classes to further her skills and knowledge in the emergency services world. Denise has served in the role of Department Recording Secretary from January 2005 to the present, 13 years. This means keeping detailed notes and minutes at the Board of Director meetings and department meetings. Her skilled note-taking is often referred back to when clarification is needed. Throughout her EMT career, she has held the position of EMS Lieutenant in our department and has always been available and supportive of new EMT members, sharing her stories and expertise. And I can speak from that personally. I'm a new EMT as the world goes, and she welcomed me with open arms when I joined. She's been an American Heart Association CPR instructor for over 15 years, ensuring that our members, both EMTs and firemen, stay current with their CPR certification. The chiefs and members are grateful for the passion, stamina, and knowledge that this individual provides to our agency. Denise Flynn.
Around to the front. Sure. You want me to come around? Behind the podium. Congratulations, Denise. Denise, before you sit, there you go. Take a lucky draw. It's on now. Chief Danton Kurz with the Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance.
Good evening. Our member joined the Hampton Bays Ambulance as a junior member in March 2013 at an age of 16. He went on to become a certified first responder while still a junior. That gave this member the ability to train with our department paramedics and members. Our member not only trained with his fellow juniors, he later, after getting CFR certified, went on to teach his skills with the junior team. He, with the chief of the department at the time, was given permission to run on the ambulance on calls under the guidance of an advisor of the juniors program. At the age of 18, our member went on to become a general member, going on immediately to become a top 10 runner within his first year. He remained a top 10 runner ever since, encouraging others to come out on calls and run with him. When needed, this member will call willing members in the middle of the night to come out and drive for him or assist on the call. And if you didn't have a driver, you could guarantee your cell phone would ring. As well as being a top 10 runner, he is also part of the Special Operations Unit, working alongside the officers and chiefs, updating and maintaining our Special Operations trailer and trucks. He is currently one of our juniors advisors, and along with his fellow advisors, has worked to update the operating procedures for our program, organize trainings, drills, and the juniors have scheduled twice a month and will be organizing to try and train with neighboring departments juniors for fire and EMS programs. Overall, our member, at such a young age, eats, breathes, and sleeps EMS, although he doesn't really sleep much. He is the poster child for EMS. We rarely see this kid outside of EMS gear. I'm glad that he found pants that weren't BDUs this evening. And this is why I would like to nominate Nick Carlisle Lamoracco for the Nancy Maxim EMS Award of Excellence.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Nick. Good job. Nick, you're not done?
Dun, 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 dun. Treasurer Kim Weiss of the Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance.
I'm going to paint a picture of a night. It was a call that we had on Christmas Eve of 2017. We have 3 nominees for this, for our Nancy Maxon Award of Excellence tonight. It was a call on Christmas Eve 2017. Mom was boiling a pot of rice and beans for Christmas the next day. A curious mind of a 4-year-old. And what was in the pot is what led us to be there. This is what prompted our agency to nominate these few outstanding people, a chief, a driver, and an EMT. The crew that night was amazing to say the least. If it wasn't for them, the young 4-year-old girl may have been traumatized and scarred for life. When people say the series of unfortunate events and the good fortune of others that led them through to save this girl's life. The crew of this call is nominated by our agency for the Nancy Maxon Award of Excellence for their heroic efforts in saving this young girl's life. A chief since October 2017, he was first assistant chief before taking over the position of the outgoing chief in October of that year. He was voted by the board to continue his role as chief in 2018. An AEMT, a veteran of the 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 36th Infantry Division, where he served as an infantry sergeant of the United States Army since 2006. Our chief served as a volunteer from 2002 until 2005 and had rejoined our agency in 2016. A first and top responder in 2017, his dedication and selfless commitment to our agency has been instrumental in coordinating, organizing, and assisting in all areas of our department. The driver, as we all know, has an important role. That one individual is responsible for getting everyone to the designation safely and in a timely manner. Joined our organization on January 1st, 1996. He has served as a chief, board member from 1999 to 2003, an EMT from 1997, and first responder from 1998. He is a recipient of the Top Responder Award for many years and a Volunteer of the Month. A lifetime member, having served our agency for more than 21 years and has served many years covering the overnight shifts and filling in where the schedule needed help. He actively represents our agency on the EMS Advisory Committee, REMSCO, and participates in company fundraisers, parades, and other committees. Selfless dedication, commitment, and professionalism exemplifies the meaning of volunteer. Our third nominee, the EMT, who joined our agency in January 2007. She has served as a board member for 5 years and currently serves in that role after a special election held in January of 2018. She, too, actively represents our agency on the EMS Advisory Committee and REMSCO. In addition to her duties, she is an active EMT serving our community. She was instrumental in coordinating and undertaking the district finances during the difficult transition after we lost our district secretary, Nancy Maxon, suddenly in February 2009. This took countless hours to arrange, organize, and manage our district accounts. Her selfless dedication and commitment and professionalism exemplifies the meaning of volunteer. The nominees for from our agency for the Nancy Maxon Award of Excellence are being presented to Chief Mark Dunleavy, Andy Kraskowitz, and Sarah Floge. Unfortunately, our chief could not be here tonight, so we'll be accepting his award in his honor. Thank you. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Andy, another one?
Thank you.
Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you guys want to pick?
That's it. And last but not least, Captain Taylor Ressi of the South Bridgehampton Fire Department.
All right. All right, so being an emergency medical technician or paramedic is noble service. First responders are fantastic for getting care started early. But let's face it, it all means nothing if you can't get a patient to the hospital. Ambulance drivers are the unsung heroes of EMS. This member is among the rank of drivers at Bridgehampton who quietly get the ambulance out of the barn time and again and asks for no thanks. And he doesn't even have to drive for the ambulance because he chooses to, because he's always looking for a way to help the community when he can. He's a fireman for 34 years. He's been a member of a fire company and in the department and started helping the EMS company on calls 12 years ago. He had an idea. He began by offering to drive volunteers' cars back from the scene. At the time, he was working for the church near the firehouse, and he asked if it would be helpful if he walked on over when the pager went off and hopped in the ambulance in case anyone who would end up at the call needed their car to be driven back to the firehouse. After a little bit of this routine, the captain at the time, smart lady, realized that he was the kind of firefighter you would be thrilled to have at the EMS scene. We know that not every firefighter is the type that you want, right? So she, sorry, let it give a little jab in there. She asked him if he would want to get behind the wheel of the ambulance too. He remembers being a little bit surprised because of the historic divide between the fire companies and EMS, but never one to be negative, he went for it. He started out riding in the back to get a feel for what it was like for the providers working back there. He wanted to be careful to learn all there was to know before jumping into the driver's seat. He was well worth the wait. There are a few people like him with whom everyone likes being on a call. When they hear him sign on, they can rest assured that no matter what happens on the call, he will be helpful, pleasant, and the ride will be smooth. He has been one of the most consistently dedicated department members in responding to medical emergencies. He answers about 200 EMS alarms a year and helps train new ambulance drivers on top of his firematic duties, which have included several stints as a captain. He serves as the department's deputy treasurer and the secretary-treasurer of his fire company. Since 1992, he has also sat on the department's Firemen's Benevolent Association, which assists members and their families in their time of need. He has been the association's secretary since 2006, and no one takes the duty more seriously than him, keeping such needs close to the vest and reaching out to members who may not want to ask for help themselves. His dedication has earned him several awards: Firefighter of the Year in 2005, Fire Officer of the Year in 2013, and EMS Driver of the Year in 2016. I think they made that award up specially for him. It is likely that no one in the department's history has received the Chief's Appreciation Award more times than him, a total of 8 so far, most during his tenure as an ambulance driver. His reserved demeanor and steady hand is always a calming presence at scenes. He has earned a CPR save from Remsco and a stork pin when he was part of a crew that delivered a baby 2 years ago. Asked recently what the secret is to driving the ambulance well, he said, "I just concentrate on what I have to do and I pray a lot. I'm driving and I'm praying, and that's happened a lot." So it's my honor on behalf of Bridgehampton EMS to bring up Harry Halsey as our nominee this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, so with that, I'll turn it over to William Michael Masterton of Suffolk County EMS.
Yes, thank you. My name is William Michael Masterton. I think I know about 80%. The 80% I don't know, they call me Mike. I'm the Chief of Training Education and Quality Assurance for the Suffolk County Department of Health Division of EMS. First, I want to congratulate all the nominees as well as recipients and the agencies. It's a great thing to recognize our own. I want to take a brief minute to apologize. I had a bag of certificates. 2 did not make it. I will assure you your certificates will arrive at Flanders and Bridgehampton. Carl usually comes to these meetings, and I believe has come since the inception, correct, Violetta?
Correct.
And we do support this agency. He was unable to come, so he asked me if I could come out, and I was graciously wanting to come out, especially to meet him. We also want to say congratulations to the men and women of our nursing community that are colleagues with us. Happy Nurses Week. For the law enforcement. For the law enforcement community, it's also Police Week. Thank you, brothers and sisters in law enforcement. And most important, for the mothers in the room, this weekend is your special day. Please celebrate your Happy Mother's Day. You well deserve it. Thank you.
So as you guys know, a couple of years ago, we lost, unfortunately, another member of the EMS community, Ralph Oswald. Ralph, those of you know, left a legacy behind. So with that, I'll leave all the speaking to Danton Kurz again of the Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance. Come on up.
Thank you, Violetta. It was a Monday morning like any other. Ralph came into work contagiously excited and full of optimism. Despite the fact that it was barely 6 o'clock in the morning, Ralph was wide awake and eager to take the day head on. For those that had the privilege of knowing Ralph, this came as no surprise. There were three things that above all else, Ralph loved and dedicated his immense energy, passion, talents, and skill to. Ralph's lovely wife, Sue, and his family were always his top priority. Ralph was also incredibly passionate about EMS. He absolutely loved coming into work, whether it was at the Hampton Bays Ambulance, where he served as our lead paramedic, or at the Dix Hills Fire Department, or when he went on vacation, Ralph style, bringing his wife to Ocean Beach while he played island paramedic for the week. With the exception of his family, there was one thing that Ralph was more passionate about than working as a paramedic. Ralph loved to teach and mentor and train the next generation of caring, skilled, and dedicated volunteer and paid EMS professionals. Whether it was teaching a formal class for Suffolk County EMS, precepting new EMTs and paramedics, or one of the many sidebar conversations that Ralph had, he was always teaching, educating, asking questions. Ralph prided himself in mentoring our new members, not just teaching them the skills or the techniques, but also, more importantly, making sure that all of his students learned the why. Why providers should strive for excellence, continually pushing the envelope, never settling. Ralph worked with Suffolk County and New York State Department of Health to bring pilot programs and the cutting edge of medicine to Hampton Bays and to the East End of Long Island. His passion was truly contagious. He was one of a few members of the Hampton Bays Ambulance family that all the chiefs, directors of the board, paid staff, EMTs, new members, everybody alike went to him when they had a question or problem. Must be fun to be that guy. Ralph was sharing his passion for EMS and teaching right up until the end. That fateful Monday morning, shortly before 10 a.m., the Hampton Bays Ambulance was dispatched to a male in cardiac arrest. Shortly after the initial dispatch, the Southampton Town Police came on the radio and confirmed that CPR was in progress at the time. Ralph arrived on scene, followed shortly by a full crew from the Hampton Bays Ambulance. In the process of administering patient care, Ralph suddenly reported not feeling well to the crew, and then went into cardiac arrest himself on scene. Ralph was transported to the hospital, where he was pronounced. Before anybody here gets sad, please remember that the best way that we can honor Ralph and his memory is by sharing his immense passion for EMS and education. As we go about our extremely busy lives, please remember the importance of training and education and training the next groups of EMS providers to take over, reminding them to continually settle for nothing, but striving for excellence, and most importantly, never forget the why. why we do this every day. So Ralph, we miss you, and thank you very much.
So with that, so how this works is every agency has submitted a nominee, and then of those group of nominees, one special recipient gets selected to receive the Ralph Oswald Distinction for Inspirational Leadership Award. And that award goes to the suspense, killing everybody. Sag Harbor Volunteer Ambulance, Mark Patois, come on up. Oh, wait, there's more. Congratulations.
Thank you,
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. And with that, we move on to our next award, where we started with, from the first year, the recipients of the Nancy Maxon EMS Award of Excellence. And that award goes to, shouldn't be surprised by this either, again, Sag Harbor. Mark Patois, come on up.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much.
Well
You guys
deserved.
make me blush here. It's,
You're gonna do 2 classes this year now.
And I know, we can bring
Yeah.
up Kim Weiss as a
that's
congratulations.
what I'm afraid of, right?
Yes.
Almost a year.
As a presentee. I wanted you to present the award, not present in that way.
That's
All right.
It's all good.
All right, so with that, I'd like to bring up Town of Southampton Supervisor Jay Schneiderman.
All right. Thank you, Violetta. First, let me thank Southampton Town EMS Advisory Committee, Violetta, and all the members of the committee, and congratulations to all the award recipients tonight, and thank you all for volunteering. Those are some sharp-looking awards, literally. Do you see them? They were all like really all of them were pointy, and I want to bring Mark up here because I have a proclamation and bring up those awards, but I'm afraid if he falls. But you're in really good hands, Mark. So you're in the right crowd. So my dad was always thinking about how people could get hurt. You know, he probably would have been putting like duct tape on the points of those things. You know, but people do get hurt. And that's when you guys come in to play, right? So to know that you guys are out there. And it is remarkable how much time some of you put in. I know, Mark, 1,500 calls? I mean, you know, it's tough to live out here. It's tough to make ends meet. And people find time to volunteer, and it just blows my mind how people do it. And we're a great community because of it. It's remarkable, the service that you guys give to this community. Thank you all, sincerely, on behalf of the town. When I listened earlier to kind of the achievements of Nancy Maxon and, you know, the LOSAP program, which is like so important to all the volunteers. It's a small token of gratitude on behalf of the community to help in retirement, but also the AEDs that were mentioned, the tax districts, right, without which there wouldn't be the funding for the work that you guys do. So I'm pleased as supervisor to work with all of the various EMS agencies. I know Captain Shurik has been working on the USO. We got a big event coming up, and I think there's 28 different agencies involved with that event. It's remarkable coordinating. Thank you also, Captain, for being here tonight. So I have a proclamation. Can we get Mark up here again? Don't try to carry all those awards. while Mark works his way up here, well, Councilman Tommy John Scavone, who I've assigned as liaison to EMS, is also a volunteer fireman, and he was here earlier. Hopefully some of you got to speak with Tommy John, but he did have to leave. He wanted to come and stand with me, but he had to move on to some other commitment. But Mark, first of all, thank you. I got to talk with Mark a little bit at the bar. I know he was a pre-med student. I was pre-med too, and I think it got in your blood, and you wanted to just kind of stick with it. And now I know you're a financial services manager, and but you found a way to stay in the medical profession. So, you know, when I came in, I had one proclamation, and somebody said, "Where's the other one?" I said, "Well, you know, there's two." There was only one person who won both of these awards. That's right. That's pretty tough to do. I mean, think of all the great people who are volunteers in our, various ambulance groups. To have one person rise to achieving both of these awards is really remarkable. What I won't do is I won't read it because Stacy pretty much covered everything when she spoke. It talks about all those different things that Mark has achieved, the classes he teaches, ways that he volunteers, including those 1,500 calls. So on behalf of the grateful town of Southampton, to Mark Poitras, we are presenting this proclamation to show our thanks to Mark and recognize and commend his dedication, his motivation, generosity of spirit. He's a man truly worthy of today's honor and the continued appreciation of the town of Southampton. This is signed by myself as town supervisor, also John Bouvier, councilman, Julie Lofsted, councilwoman, Tommy John Schiavone, and Christine Scalera, councilwoman. So, to you, Mark, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Since day one that we've been doing this, Carl Klug has joined us of Suffolk County EMS to do all the presentations. This year he could not be here, so William Michael Masterson, or otherwise known as Mike, has graciously stepped into his place to handle that task. And so, as a great thank you, greatest appreciation from this committee to Carl Klug, we'd like to present him this thank you for all the service that he's done to our committee for the past couple of years.
Just briefly, Carl was kind of upset. He's always come to this, and the rumors are true. Carl will be leaving us next year. Not next week, next year. So you can still call him throughout the week, but I know he wanted to come because this might be the last opportunity that he can come. But we'll see what happens next year. But thank you. I will accept this on his behalf.
Thank you. In his last several months of being there, I think Carl was saying forwarded all his phone calls to Mike. Just saying. Keep forwarding those phone calls. Jay Schneiderman brought up a little comment about volunteering. So what it takes to volunteer, I just want to put this out there to you guys who do not volunteer, to those of us watching this program in the near future on CTV. Thank you to Charlie Styler, who's taking care of this recording for us. In order for us, for it to become a volunteer, a lot of you guys are hearing this tonight and hearing everybody being some sort of a emergency medical technician or a provider or an instructor. It takes a great number of hours, a lot of work to get to that point, no doubt. But everybody in this room who does volunteer has the same exact thing in common since day one. Since day one, everybody who has chose to volunteer, they have stepped forward, stepped into an organization and said, hey, I want to help. By the excitement, I could speak for myself of, the glory of, hearing all the sirens, road closures, whatever's going on. I just knew I wanted to be there. And I think that pretty much has fallen for everybody. And they stepped into the shoes of, I want to help, but yet I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what an EMT is. And yet through several months, couple years, several years to today that you see these award recipients receive their awards. They have tremendously grown to become an emergency medical technician or EMT/CC, which is critical care for advanced life support, or paramedic, assistant chiefs, chiefs of organization, whether they handle training in their own department, whether they do instruction for students throughout the county for EMT courses. So just to kind of give everybody an idea of what it takes to do that, to become an emergency medical technician is approximately 170 hours worth of training. To become an emergency medical technician critical care is approximately 800 hours worth of training. 400 hours of training. And paramedic is upwards over 1,000 hours of training. You're looking at more than 1,200 hours of training, depending on the program. So with that, that just kind of gives you an idea, gives the community an idea of what all these volunteers do on their own time, volunteering time. You know, they're not getting paid to take these classes. So just a shout out to all the volunteers in the community. When you do see a volunteer out there, just a simple thank you. Thank you for what you do. You don't realize, you know, fire department, it's kind of funny because EMS in its own way is really extremely unique in that there's a much higher burnout rate. You know, with fire department, you hear of people receiving 30, 40, 50-year membership awards, which that's crazy. In EMS, you don't hear that. You don't hear that. You know, on average, minimum, every time that pager goes off, somebody runs out to go to an EMS call, at minimum, it's an hour. If you run with Montauk, well, it's a few days. It's kind of like packing my bags, be back next week, honey. So just to kind of give you an idea of the time and dedication that the volunteers within the town of Southampton. So we have 8 departments within the town of Southampton that serve EMS. So with that, you're looking at approximately 500 volunteers. With that, ALS providers, you're looking at more than 100 ALS providers that volunteer their time within the township of Southampton. So when you do see somebody, you know, those of you that don't volunteer, a simple thank you to that person. You know, you don't know. Granted, you know, things get frustrating out there. You know, unfortunately, call 911 because your loved one may be suffering a medical event, a bad traumatic event. Whatever the case is, these are the people that are coming to your side on a volunteer basis, and that right there is incredible. You know, I can speak for, you know, a lot of people don't understand that. You know, my mother in particular, she's like, you know, when you're doing your paramedic training, you know, I don't understand how you do hundreds of hours of training and you don't get paid for it. That blows her mind. And in the wealthy community that we live in out here, you know, not all of us are in the same maybe wealthy place or whatever, live in mansions or what have you, have millions to spend. That's incredible to be able to provide this service on a volunteer level to this community, to be one of the largest volunteer EMS systems. It's incredible. So anyone that is interested in volunteering, please reach out to your local agency, whether it be the immediate district that you live in, a neighboring entity, you know, whoever you're available. Whoever you want to run with is fine. You can go in and start absolutely nowhere. You know nothing, just like everybody in this room. Every single person that has stood up here and received an award tonight, every single person has been in that same shoe of, I want to volunteer, but what do? I have no idea. I don't know what an EMT is. I've never done CPR. That's okay, because all this training will be provided to you, which is incredible. And then really the rest of it is a path that you decide where you want to go with that path. You know, and maybe one day you too will be standing up here receiving an award. So with that, to all of you guys that volunteer in the room, stand up. Take a look around. This is a pretty good group tonight. So with that, big round of applause for you guys. You guys can all have a seat. And that leaves you guys who do not volunteer with an agency, however, are a guest here tonight. Those of you guys, stand up. Stand up. So what we've done for you guys, no, stand up. Stand up. I want to get a good head count. That includes you too, Dr. Cox. Yep. Captain, once again. You see how this goes? This is very... So for those of you guys who are standing up as a nice, you know, parting gift, maybe we'll get an application for each of you by the end of this evening to join an agency. Those those of you guys who are here with a significant other or live with a significant other, I feel sorry for you because as my significant other, he had no idea what the heck he was getting into except, you know, well, there she goes. We can't go anywhere because she's on call, because this, because she's on call, because of an ambulance call. It was always the fault of EMS, and that's how sometimes, you know, spouses join because, well, sometimes in order to see your spouse, well, that's really pretty much the only thing you're going to do unless you just work the same job with them. So, you know, it is what it is. But thank you. And a final thank you to Pam and her husband, the owners tonight of the Coast Grill out here in Noyak Road in Southampton, for providing this wonderful venue for us. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.